And it's Danny who's speaking to us now, right?
This is Danny, yes.
Good. And you might need to talk up a little bit more, Danny, if you can. But, okay, so you all met each other on Craigslist, is that right?
That's correct.
So why were you looking for an adventure, Danny? Do people go
Always
to Craigslist
looking
for an
for
adventure?
adventure.
What?
I'm always looking for an adventure.
You're always
sure.
But so did you go to Craigslist specifically to look for an adventure, or were you looking for furniture?
A little bit of both, actually.
I mean,
yeah, let me put you over to Skipper Jim. He'll kind of tell you how this whole thing hatched
okay.
out.
All right. Hey,
All right?
Skipper Jim. Hey there. How are you?
You caught me in the middle of driving around a really beautiful lighthouse out in the middle of the Hudson right now. So I'm trying to look at that and pay attention to what's going on.
So before you tell us what you see.
Well, right now we're looking at a lighthouse. I've seen a photo of it. It was built in the 1800s. A great looking little place located out in the middle of about a mile wide part of the river, and it's obviously used to keep people going where they're supposed to be going, and we're going in behind it because it's a better look.
And what's special? What's
this
special?
Whole thing started. What's special about it? Or?
Yes. What's special about it?
Well, the fact that it's still in existence and been restored and was built in the 1800s. It actually goes back to the day when they probably burned kerosene with big magnifying glasses for, giving the projection of the light so that you could see them. And it doesn't have air conditioning. I see they got the doors open. So it's just a nice looking structure located on a big rock pile out in the middle of the river. And just one of the many things that we get to see that you don't get to see from your car at 60 miles an hour, or is it, I don't know how fast cars go now.
So how many miles an hour do you go?
We're cruising along. Right now we're going about right at 5 miles an hour. We've got a current in the river that's helping push us.
So is that an average
speed?
Speed?
We're making a little bit.
Is that your average speed?
The average is probably 3.5 to 4.
Wow.
But it's definitely a slow, relaxing trip. That after you do it for a couple of days, you find yourself you can understand it more. At first, it feels like you're just never going to get there. Then after a while, it doesn't seem to matter. You just start enjoying the fact that you're going along slow. And it gives us more time to, as a crew, get to know each other, talk to each other about things. But we try to get our 30, 35 miles a day in and see as much as we can see. And then, of course, share as much as we can share. But other than that, this thing was a dream of mine that I had for about 6 years. Thought about it, and I said I would never be able to do this on the cost of fuel. So I decided to look for some alternative methods of, traveling, hoping that, if I could find something that was close to free, I'd be able to do it. So that's what we found. We found free energy in the sun directed to electric motors that power it. And we don't, like I said, we don't go as fast as a power boat, but we seem to go steady, and we get there eventually, and we get to enjoy it.
So you actually made the boat, is that right?
Correct. We built it. I always knew that Stephen Foster sung Swanee River, so one of the things of this trip, I knew that the Swanee River emptied into the Gulf, so we decided to build a boat on the Swanee River 44 miles from the Gulf. So when we launched it, we actually got to go down the Swanee River, and it was quite enjoyable.
Wow.
Very beautiful river, lots of cypress trees everywhere, alligators, etc. And a lot to enjoy, a lot to see over there. So it was quite fun.
And how
Got
long?
that part
How long did
out.
it take you to build the boat?
It seemed like it took forever. It took me 90 days, and which was unusual. Everybody was betting I couldn't do it in 90 days, and by getting different part-time people and me doing all the layout work and everything like that, had them, of course, there's a lot of, glue and that type of thing to be installed to put the structure together first. So by having a couple of people help me, it moved everything along fast enough, and we were able to get it done in a 90-day thing. I actually had told the yard where I rented the space to do it, I told them I'd be out of there in 30 days, but I guess obviously that was really dreaming. Anyway, here we are. I don't know, since January 14th to now, we've got several thousand miles in, with several thousand more to go, and I think everybody on the boat, all we're doing is looking forward to it.
So it's taken you what, 6 months or so to do a several thousand?
Yeah, from January to now, and I think we've got about 3,200 miles in, which I think the Erie Canal is going to be about our halfway point. So we're getting there. Then it's just after that, when we get over to Chicago, it's all downhill. So.
Oh, wow. And so you'll have some different kind of weather, huh?
Yeah, well, it's easy to keep warm. It's just hard to keep cool.
So I want to ask you, so you actually, okay, so we have a question on the chat, and the question on our chat is, how did you get the idea to put an ad on Craigslist to recruit the crew?
I think, like in the LA area and even in the Denver, Colorado area where I've been living for the last several years now. When there's movie jobs will come to town, it seems like they always put an ad on it under creative or something under creative, and looking for grips and PAs and things like that. And it seems like everything, it's always people wanting to have people work for the experience more. Excuse me, more than anything. That in this situation here, there's promise of monetary value out of it, but we're all doing it for the adventure of doing it more than anything. So since it seemed to work for that industry, this isn't that much different. That's where we decided to put the ad, and the ad has been quite successful. We get 6-8 phone calls a day sometimes, and I think, I don't know how many phone calls total we've had since we started.
So I don't know. Are you
Hello?
rowing? Are you doing something now, or are you just sitting? Because sometimes it's hard for me to hear you. There seems to be some just some squeaking sounds.
All right. Well, I'm driving the boat.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. We'll live with it. Let me ask you some more questions, okay? And we'll just know that you're doing that. Because this is reality online TV.
I got a big ship now.
You have a big ship ahead of you?
Yes, it's Danny back here again.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a ship coming down the channel, so we're trying to navigate around it.
Okay. Well, this is online real TV, so it's kind of cool in a way, isn't it? We get to go. We get to live vicariously through you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want him to leave if he doesn't have to, but I'd like to find out. So, did he get a lot of response? Were there a lot of people interested in taking this adventure?
Yeah, there's been 19 crew members cycled through. And some people last a day, some last a week, some last 2 hours. It's just not, it's an adventure that's not for everybody, for sure.
Really? And so what is it, how long have you been there, Danny?
I've been on the boat since April 11th.
Uh-huh. And what about Jamie? How long has she been on?
I've been on the boat for 3 weeks as of today.
Congratulations, honey. So there's your first woman on the boat. Her name is Jamie. She's 25 years old. And I would imagine you have quite the spirit, Jamie.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to figure that out still.
So,
and that's why I'm on the boat, maybe.
So how long do you think you'll stay on, Jamie?
Well, I take most things just a little bit at a time every day, you know. So I don't know. I don't see myself leaving, but a lot of people haven't seen themselves leaving, and they're gone. Mm-hmm. And you know, I don't know. I guess I'd like to see this through. I'd like to focus on a challenge, like stick, as my mother says, have staying power. I'd like to have staying power with something and see if I can do something hard and stick with it and finish it instead of, like, you know, finding a way to get out of it, which I can do. But sure. I think it's more, it's like mentally challenging to be on this boat, a lot more than anything else, just because, you know, it's cramped quarters, we're away from our friends and family. And I don't know. I just wanted to give myself a challenge and see if I could actually stay with it to the end.
You know, honey, I think that's really a critical challenge for all of us, for many of us. We get to the point where we start something and we can't see the end, and we can't even see the steps. And so we very often start something and kind of get cold feet or whatever and don't finish it. Or the next big idea comes and we jump on that bandwagon and then we don't finish it. And so staying power is really a big deal.
Yeah. And it's definitely a challenge, as like every previous crew member as well as the current ones can tell you, that it's definitely not for everyone to live on a boat in these conditions and in cramped quarters with strangers, and, you know, working on documenting the whole thing too is a whole nother challenge in itself. So, yeah. We have someone who lives near the Erie Canal. She lives a block from there. Have you already been there yet, Danny? No, we have not.
Oh, you haven't been there yet.
We're making our way. No, not yet.
So if she wants to come visit you when you get into dock, is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I would imagine so. It's going to be a couple days still, but if they want to, if whoever this is, they want to find us on Facebook, they go to our website, solarboatchronicles.com. They can get on our Facebook, and then our first mate, Danny Jack, is like so good about coordinating all of that stuff. So that'd be the best way to get in contact with us, because we're up on keeping that, you know, current and everything. So.
Okay. So I know Susiana is listening to the show, so we'll connect you so that if you can, maybe you want to go down and check it out. So you said it's more of the mental thing than the physical thing, and that's why people don't always make it, right? That's what you said, Jamie?
Correct.
Yeah, Danny.
Yeah.
What about you, Danny? What's the challenge for you, and what is the what's the awe for you, and what is the challenge for you, Danny?
Well, the challenge, of course, is just like Jamie said, is being away from family and friends. I have 3 daughters. I have 2 grandchildren. Being away from them for this period of time. And it's a lot of people that came on this boat just didn't have the support team back home to let them continue the journey. You know, it takes a lot of commitment from friends and family back home to allow us to do this, which is really cool. I guess the all moment for me has been some of the people that I've met along this trip. It's some incredible individuals that are just kind and nice, and gives us hope that humanity may survive after all.
Yeah, I think there's. I would like to think, and I believe that there's more good than not.
There is, and we haven't. I cannot count on my hands how many there's been nots. You know, there's just a lot of people behind us. We have a really good support team everywhere, and we're still, dealing with our things that people have to deal with day to day. But it's still been a lot of really good folks that we've met. It's been a great experience so far.
And Danny, is your plan to stay on till the end?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So one of the questions we have on the chat is, what makes a good crew member?
That's a good question. I guess flexibility would be the word that comes to mind. Flexibility and patience, Jamie just added, which is another good trait that it requires a lot of. I'm not going to lie and say that we haven't all had our times together and some difficulties, but when it's all said and done, there's nowhere else to go when you get mad at somebody.
Yeah, really.
So, it's 48 feet. The boat's 48 feet long, so you got 47 feet to distance yourself.
So have you ever done anything like this before, Danny?
Yeah, I've done quite a few things. I played rugby in France. Went on some trips through there. Traveled all over the world. Done some, surf and windsurf, and I've always been on the water and do sailboat trips and things like that. So, nothing this extensive, of course, but yeah, it's been, I guess one of the things that makes my world go round is doing things like this outside the norm.
I'm not just sitting here. Our producer that you spoke to earlier, he says that you're a regular beach bum.
Exactly. And I've been labeled a pirate as well, so that's a combination of both.
He says he's envious. So that leads me to the next question, because he must be reading my mind. And I guess I want to ask, and Danny, you can start, and Jamie, and then, of course, if Jim is there, he can as well. So what would you say to the world at large, for the adventurer in all of us, to get us off of our derrieres and to do the things that are at the tip of our tongue or that are at the tip of our dreams? What would you say to somebody? How to do it, or, what would you tell us?
I don't know. That's a good question, but I would just say go for it. And a lot of us will just talk ourselves out of these kind of things. You've got to somehow put rationale aside sometimes.
A lot of times, I think. A lot of times.
A lot of times. How
Yeah,
about you?
yeah.
What would you say?
I guess I would say. Okay, wait. So you want to know?
I want to know.
Would tell people to
I want
get
to
them to go do something.
Yeah, young or old. You're 25. I'm 59. But it really doesn't matter, because when it boils down to it, we all have the same innards, I like to say. So certainly, somebody your age, you may not have the family, the ties, the children, the job, maybe, and those things. Somebody like myself, I've got a husband, I've got a grandchild, I've got children, I have family, I have a mother, responsibilities that, are impeding me from maybe taking off for a year. But what would you say to someone, no matter who you're talking to? What would you tell us?
Well, I guess I would say make your own life an adventure. Even if you have those responsibilities with the kids and the job and the house payments, can make that stuff an adventure too, just with the life you live. You can, you know, always broaden your mind. You can always learn new things. You can always push yourself physically and mentally. You can always take on new challenges if you just take it a little bit at a time. I don't know if, like, I don't think traveling and going on, like, ridiculous boat trips like us is, like, for everyone, you know? Like, it's definitely not for everyone. But that doesn't mean that your life can't be adventurous as well. I think it's just, you got to find your own passions and learn how to be happy and content with the life you've chosen, the life you lead, and find new ways to explore that and explore yourself. And I think you can inspire the people around you to do that as well, just by living like that, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my ass, though. I'm not sure yet.
Honestly, I think
I'm only
talking
25. I don't know anything yet.
Jamie, honey, let me tell you something, okay?
Yeah.
Will you take a little advice from an older lady? Talking out of your ass sometimes is better than talking out of your head. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
because out of your head comes just the fear. Out of your ass comes the seat of your pants. You know? And that's where spontaneity comes from. And that's where, you know, the stories come from that you tell your grandchildren.
Yeah. I guess, like, I've been inspired by a lot of my family members. Like, my grandparents have done a lot of, like, crazy things, I guess, and been traveling around and flew planes and got arrested in Algeria and a lot of crazy things like that. So, I don't know, maybe it's, like, in my blood or something, too, to have a few stories to tell when I'm older, if I get older.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what they say, and don't take this wrong, but out of the mouths of babe. I mean, when you're pure as you can, I mean, I'm sure you've had some life experiences, but basically when you've had, when you're kind of pure at 25, you can live a way that, you know, some of us dream of or dream of what we remember that we did. Do you know what I mean? I can remember plenty of things that I did when I was young.
But there's also, I mean, there's...
Jamie, you there?
Yeah, we're still here.
Okay, what did you just say, honey?
Oh, no, keep going.
You talk.
I don't know, there's also a darkness to being this adventurous. Like Danny was saying, you know, leaving your family behind. Like, sometimes I feel like I kind of shirked on some responsibilities because I just kind of blew back into town, and I was like, I'm going on this boat. And I really depended on all of my family and friends there to help me out, you know, and I feel like I sort of abandoned them in a way. So there's a dark side to the adventurous life as well, you know. There's like a sadness to it and a lack of, I don't know, like, am I an upstanding citizen even though I'm like living on this boat? I don't know.
Well, you know, I can remember things that I did when I was your age that put hair on my father's chest. And seriously, to this day, my mother will tell me that when I decided to move to North Carolina and I pulled up in front of their house with a truck and just cleared out my stuff.
Yeah.
And she will tell me to this day that my father would walk around and he was crazy by the things that I did. And, you know, now I want to take the next stage of my life and do the next stage of adventure. Maybe it doesn't mean going on a boat. Huh?
The next crazy thing, right?
Well, what's crazy for one is sane for another.
Yeah.
You know? So I think here in our show, we like to stretch the sane, and we like to, stretch the crazy and stretch the sane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good.
So,
well, and then we're all in this boat, really.
No, we're all in the same boat together, I guess.
We're on the raw.
We are. We're on the. So I want to just invite everybody out there to please call in, 919-518-9773 and share an adventure that you have in your dream and that you would like to take part in, or maybe you've had one that you want to share with us, that we would all kind of drool at. We'd love to hear it. So it's 919-518-9773. Or you too can Skype in with us. The computer's 2K voice. If you'd rather do that than calling, but we'd love to hear from you. So, Danny.
Yes.
So what is the job of a first mate? What do you do every day?
Complain a lot.
About what?
I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
First mate is basically all of us wear a lot of hats on this boat. We're all filming. We're driving the boat. We're doing maintenance on the boat. We do have the luxury of Jamie cooking for us, which she's graciously took that chore over from Jim and I. But yeah, I mean, it's a typical position for a first mate is navigation and driving the boat, and giving Jim some relief off the helm.
Did you ever drive a boat before?
Yes, yeah, I've been sailing since I was 7.
Okay.
So I've got quite a bit of experience on the water. This boat is unique in itself. This behaves a lot differently than a typical production boat would. So you hear the little squeaking in the background. The wheel or the helm takes constant attention. It's cable steering, so the boat tends to wiggle left to right a lot.
And so Danny, how old are you? And Jim, how old are the two of you?
I'm 51 and Jim is 72.
Okay. 72?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. And you're 51.
Yeah.
Wow,
I'm
cool.
not 72. I'm 39.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, good. Good clarification.
Your old man do this.
So are you all paying to be on the boat? I mean, are you paying for this opportunity?
No.
Okay.
I say yes. They're paying with sweat.
Yeah.
Sweat labor.
Right.
Sweat labor.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. So I realize that, according to some of what I read, a trip like this, going 6,000 miles on a normal boat, whatever normal is, would have cost about $10,000 in gasoline, and it's not costing you that. So
I would say more than that. Yeah.
Okay.
In fuel. The fuel cost is significant.
So what is it costing now to do this trip? What do you estimate it costing?
That's hard to say. We live a very minimalistic. We don't. I guess it's just food. Mm-hmm. So the food that we consume on the boat, occasional reprovisioning or maintenance that's occurred. But it's just we don't eat that fancy of food, so it's a couple $100 a month, I guess, for all of us.
It's not fancy, but it tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to say it so yourself, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm the cook, so I have to stand up for my own cooking.
So you must, I bet you're eating a lot of local, when you get into a marina or a port, you're eating a lot of local foods?
Well, it depends on where we are, and it depends on what's nearby, what we can walk to, or what someone offers us a ride to, which a lot of people have been really accommodating, actually, when we stop. People are like, oh, yeah, I'll take you to the grocery store. Mm-hmm. So we try to do the best we can with what, with our budget and with what we have access to. Because sometimes we stop in these little towns that are great and friendly, but, the nearest grocery store is like 10 miles away. So.
So somebody asked, how often do you feel like how often do you stop?
Every night.
Every night.
Yeah, the boat will, depending on the clouds and the current and all the other conditions and wind. We've had 14-hour days and we've had short days that are just 4 or 5 hours travel time. Mm-hmm. But typically we go as far north as we can get at this point, and we'll either drop the anchor, and there's been marinas gracious enough to host us, which means when I say host, we don't pay to tie up there. So we've had quite a few give us an opportunity to tie up, which is really nice because that way we can come on shore, take a shower, do some things on shore, like laundry or things like that, or just kind of stretch our legs. Mm-hmm. It's a really cool feeling to be able to do that sometimes.
So let me just see if I because we've been asked this. So you're not paying money and gas. It's just the food and maybe some little incidentals. So the whole trip to make the boat, how much did it cost to make the boat?
I think Jim said in an interview at one time around $40,000.
Okay.
He's got in it, and some of the things were our supporters have donated for the boat. The majority of it was either at cost plus. Mm-hmm. We don't have a real mainline sponsorship, but we can give Torqeedo the shameless plug here. In fact, they did contribute the motors. Those are the two motors that propel the boat.
Got it. So so we do know that you are looking to do a reality TV show based on your trip and this experience. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
That's correct.
So why?
Well, that's basically Jim, Skipper Jim, come from a film background, and that was his idea. And we're all filmmakers, every one of us on the boat. So we had the opportunity, of course, I guess you know how that works, is the show has to be sold to a network.
Right.
We can film all we want. There's no guarantee. But we do spend quite a considerable amount of time focusing on that aspect of it. Uh-huh. And with we think it's going to make a really good show. We've got some really good stuff, and it's basically capturing the essence of grassroots perspective of life on the waterfront, which can be funny and sad at the same time, I suppose.
So can you give us a little bit of what you mean by funny and what you mean by sad?
Well, the characters that we've met has been just outstanding. I mean, we try to film artists, musicians, just like I said, just a grassroots view, things that are beyond a tourist perspective, you might say. And we've met some really strange characters. I mean, we're strange characters, but we've met some folks stranger than us.
And what's been sad?
It's been, it's tough. I mean, it's tough. Jamie mentioned it earlier. The demand on oneself mentally we have a lot of solitude, a lot of time to think about things, more so than people that if you're, going to work 9 to 5, you have a job, you've got things to occupy your mind or distract you from your own self. Mm-hmm. And I think it can be, if you've ever read any of the books of people out at sea for a long time, I think that's one of the most difficult aspects of the whole deal.
So do you start to see things?
I'm sorry?
Have you seen things that didn't exist?
In myself, yeah.
Like what? like what?
I'm just teasing.
Well, what have you noticed about yourself, Danny, that maybe that being out at sea?
I really don't like myself. I'm just kidding. No, it's just been for a guy that's 51 years old, and I'm speaking for myself. It awakens a lot of things in your mind that you normally wouldn't think about, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. It's somewhat meditative, I would think.
Yeah,
I mean, you can
And-
only talk to two other people, but so much.
Exactly.
I mean, when
Right.
you know, in a day by day, you know, we get up, we might turn the TV on, you know, we make breakfast, we make coffee, we go to maybe the coffee shop, or we, you know, meet this one for lunch, we do this, we do that. And so our engagements are many. But when you're there and you only have, you know, two other people to really engage with, I would imagine that, you know, it can get quite interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's kind of interesting. But when it's all said and done, we're on the same team here. So
Right.
that's, I think it's how we all look at it.
So have you had some really terrible weather?
Yeah, we had, fortunately, since Jamie's been on the boat, we've had nice weather. The only thing that I think we've experienced lately is it's been extremely hot.
Yeah.
There's not much wind blowing, and like I said, we don't have any air conditioning. But before she came on the boat, we had 5 days off of Sapelo Island where we just sat at anchor, and we couldn't move. It was a nor'easter, 60-mile-an-hour winds, pouring rain. We had no internet, no cell service. So we're just kind of confined to the boat, whereas normally we can be, like we're chatting with you on the iPad here.
Right.
We can occupy ourselves doing work on the computer, and being on a solar boat. What happened to it? We had so much bad weather that our batteries were completely down. We had no battery. So I guess that was probably the worst so far.
That was pretty scary if you were in the middle of the water, no battery.
Yeah, we had no battery. We actually had one of our friends call the Coast Guard to come out and check on us, because we communicate on Facebook at least a couple times a day so people know what we're doing, and we hadn't been able to make any post or anything like that, and they were concerned about us, and we did manage to let everybody know that we're okay, and of course we were. The boat's really safe and it's well built, but we're going nowhere.
Nowhere, but you were really, I mean, it's funny how you could be going somewhere, but nowhere.
Right.
So we have all kinds of questions on our chat, and
Okay.
I want to give you some of them. Nancy said that she's been on a boat and you learn to talk without speaking. That's a pretty brilliant statement. And then, are any of your family? Chris wants to know if any of your family members are watching today, and if so, if anybody, is anybody watching? Do you know?
I hope so. Yeah.
Okay.
I have 3 friends, and not family, but I have 3 friends that are listening right now, actually, and we're texting. They're texting.
Oh,
me
they
through-
are? Well, if anybody wants to call in, you can, and tell us, any of the stories you want to tell us. 919-518-9773. Any of Jamie, Danny, Jim's family, friends, anybody that wants to call in is more than welcome to call in and say hey, or, give us some more insight. You're more than welcome to. So Nancy wants to know what changes you're going to be making to the boat now that you've been on this voyage. Are there any changes that you're going to be making in design, or is it fine the way it is?
I think she's pretty good shape. We could use, if we had more money, we could use more solar panels and more batteries, which would allow us to run longer days. There's a timeline that we have to keep, of course, to get as far north as we're going before the weather turns bad. So we're constantly chasing that. But no, it's a solid boat. There's a few things I'm sure Jim would like to tweak, but it's pretty rock solid at this point, I suppose. You agree?
Wow. Yes, I do.
You do? Well, Jim, you're a heck of a boat maker then.
Yeah, well, it was pretty simple.
That's what they all say.
Just thought about what it was going to do and then built it to do it.
Mm-hmm. So I have another. So where'd the name Ra come from, and what does it mean?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Coach.
I don't know. That kind of gets me. The name Ra is from the Egyptian sun god, or god of the sun.
Yeah.
This is the second Ra that did a great adventure. The first Ra was with Thor Heyerdahl of Kon-Tiki fame. His second boat that he built to do this drift that he did to the South Pacific, that boat's name was Ra. When you read the Egyptian story about Ra, this exact statement in the old writings, which are probably 4,000 years old, whatever it is, older than the pyramids, it says, Ra, the god of the sun that travels around the universe in a vessel powered by the sun. So we finally figured out that they had solar panels 4,000 years ago. But Ra is the god of the sun in the Egyptian way of thinking.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, but now we know exactly what he was traveling in. If you watch Stargate.
Well, you're right. We use some of Stargate's technology.
That's really great. And Jim, there's something else, and I know we have some other questions about the Guinness record. What's the process for that?
Well, the Guinness record is kind of a simple thing. It is you make a you have to do a kind of an I'm trying to think what the word is, not an appeal, but anyway, I'm stuck on my words. But basically you write a letter up and turn it in what you're doing and come back with proof that you did that, and they do research to see if it's ever been done. So if you get it finished and you do the job as you said, and nobody's ever done it, then you become a member of the Guinness Book of Records, of which, it's like a big pat on the back to me. I look forward to doing something special in the way this is that no one else has ever done before. I like that because I would never be able to do that, especially at the age I've got in my life. If we hadn't come up with this idea, I guess I would have never done anything too spectacular that everybody else didn't have the capability of doing.
Well, I've often thought about the fact that there are no really new ideas out there. It's just they're all floating out in the ether. And somebody like you just reaches out there and grabs one. Maybe other people thought about it, but that's the interesting thing behind us all. It's that somebody took the step to take the action. And you're to be commended for that. And the insight of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I have a feeling you're a really nice man. So,
there would be a lot of people disagree with you on that. They didn't call me the crouchy old man for nothing, but, I'd just like to pick up on something that you said there and kind of express my viewpoint on the earlier question. Is one of the reasons I do this is, one of the reasons behind me doing it is to try to show people that it matters not how rich you are or anything like that. You can think of something that you can go and do and fulfill a dream. Just figure out what that dream is and go ahead and do it. You're going to run into obstacles. You're going to have friends or family criticize you. they're not going to be behind you. Some are going to be behind you. But when it's said and done, the reason that most friends aren't behind you is they're envious. And envy is the worst thing in the world because they don't get to do it. So just go ahead and show them it can be done and let them find, themselves something that is good for them to complete some kind of adventure. It matters not what it is, whether it's, a walk in the woods, go find an animal that you've never seen before, spend time finding it, but do something with yourself. And in my case, I would like to see the young people of the world take some of that skills that they've got in playing those games and play life's game a little bigger.
Wow. If I had I will toast you, because I think you just said that in a most magnificent way. Thank you. That was I'm gonna have to listen to the show over and over just to hear that part. That was great. And Jamie, I want to let you know that Megan she couldn't call because she's at work, but she's on the on our chat. And she said that they're all living they're living vicariously through you.
Oh my goodness, that's so nice.
Although I think our whole gang kind of all does that for each other. Let's see, they're living vicariously living through you, and your whole gang is like that. She said, "Whoa, what a group of friends you got."
Yeah, I think right now, Megan, Roberta, and Mike are listening of my friends that I know of. Could be others, but I don't know for sure. Except for those three.
That's magnificent to have her there. So Megan, thank you. I know that you're sneaking in, so it's great.
Can I give you an update?
Yeah.
We crossed this channel in front of this big ship, and I was unable to ask Danny to take a look at it, and it's on anchor, so it was a false alarm. It wasn't going to hit us, so we made it. And ahead of us is this magnificent big steel bridge, of which I seem to have I like their structure. So we try to photograph every bridge we go under, and I think we've got
Millions.
I don't even want to think
Millions.
how many we have.
Millions.
They're
millions?
great when you see them from the water. You don't have to pay a toll to cross them.
So, somebody else wanted to know. I know that you're considered loopers because you're doing the loop. So do you come in contact with many loopers on your journey?
Yes, we do. Quite a few, actually. And we have a big following from the boat community. Those are probably the most kindest people we encounter, I suppose, right? That we have several sailboat friends that are trailing behind us. I think they'll eventually catch up with us. But, it's quite a big community, the loopers are.
It's such a culture, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it definitely is.
So we also have been asked that when you take these pictures, if you would make sure that you are our friends on our Facebook page, Breaking Free Show, and post. If you can just, when you're posting on yours, if you could just, tag us with them. We'd love to see where you are and be able to say, oh, we know them and where they're going.
We aim to be social.
What'd you say, Danny?
I said we aim to be social.
Well, yeah, we aim to show you off. So what's next? Once you complete this journey, Jim, what's next for you?
I think I'll go to the Nile River and go down it.
On another one of your own, will you build a boat there or what? What will you do?
This boat's made to come into pieces and go inside 2 shipping containers. So I just ship it over there and go see the Nile. And that way, I think it would be, I guess it could be said, Ra comes home, I guess.
Wow. That is chilling. And will you also look for a crew there as well?
No, I want to take the only ones I trust.
So will that be whoever you're on this boat with or somebody else?
That would probably be the ones that I am on the boat with.
I want to ask you one quick question, Jim. What kinds of people were you looking for to take on this boat?
Oh, somebody that would share the adventure. It's kind of a, it's a statement that keeps being made. But until you get out here like we're doing, it's so different. I mean, I've looked at a lot of things and done a lot of things myself. Been to many foreign countries, and all of those things were an adventure. But until you do it, you just don't comprehend what it's really like. I got to go by New York City for the first time on the water the other day, and I always wondered. And all they do is ride the subway there.
Oh my
and
God! Yeah.
But somebody told me that was an adventure, so I don't know.
To be able to see Manhattan from the perspective that you were at must have been just amazing.
Yes.
I can't even imagine. Other than to see it by a car.
That's why we did this, and that was the reason behind this. We've seen America by the car, and we'd cross bridges, and I'd see boats on the water. I used to always wonder, what's going on that boat, and what are they seeing? And that's kind of one of the reasoning behind this. I wanted to see it from the water, because it is magnificent. There's a lot of greenery. There's one thing about along the rivers, the forests aren't cut down. I still see every tree here, so it's kind of interesting that from that standpoint, we see the conditions of the water. We see a lot of work being done to improve our water, fortunately, and we get to see a lot of trains if you're going down up the Hudson River, because they got both sides of this thing, got train packs, and they run every 5 minutes.
I can listen to you all day, but Jamie is on the chat. And she says, I have to jump in as another friend of Jamie Nudd and Megan and say that everyone is different and everyone should find adventures in their own lives, as Jamie has mentioned today. This being said, we have a good group of friends, and when we think of Jamie, we think of one quote. The only people for me are the mad ones. The ones who are mad to live, mad to talk, and mad to be saved. Desires of everything at the same time. The one who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but burn like fabulous yellow Roman candles, exploding like spiders across the stars. And in the middle, you see the blue center light pop, and everyone goes, "Aw." Oh, yay!
Yeah, I think it's Jack Kerouac that wrote that quote.
Say that again. That's the audience.
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, I think it's Jack Kerouac, I believe, unless I'm wrong.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know if Megan or Roberta or another friend of ours brought that into our lives in high school, actually. And I remember that's the first time when I was introduced to it, at least by one of those gals, and it's kind of been like our life quote ever since.
Wow, that's like the traveling pants, but the traveling quote, because I want to be a part of that group too.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm pretty sure it's Jack Kerouac from On the Road. I've actually never read any Jack Kerouac or On the Road, but my friends have, and I need to.
Fabulous.
But, yeah, it's from that.
So Jamie, just really quick, because we're winding down in just 2 minutes. What's your next for you, honey?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's perfect.
I don't know my plans that far in advance.
That's tomorrow could be too. That's
Yeah.
fine. What about you, Danny? What's next?
I'm heading to the BVI,
The what?
to the British Virgin Islands.
And what are you going to do there?
I'm gonna be a part of a charter boat company.
And how do you do that? Like, you don't make money, you just going to go? Or do you make money?
I hope to make some money.
Okay. Okay, but that's making money.
Yeah.
That's great. So in a minute, what do you need? Is there a website to follow, maps? What do you need from us out here?
Well, your listeners can go to our Facebook page, which is Solar Boat Chronicles. And that's also our main website is solarboatchronicles.com. And they can follow us along. We usually post on our Facebook page a couple times a day. And then once we get Wi-Fi available, we'll update the main site.
Okay, great. Well, we will follow you and we'll make little comments to you. We'll keep connecting, and you'll know when it's Marilyn, it's me.
Nice.
So it's been a pleasure talking to you all, getting to know you, sharing, even getting to hear where you are and getting a feel and a taste for what's around you. So thank you, all of you, for sharing all of it with us. Jim, for giving us little accounts of where you are, and through your eyes we get to see, through your voice we get to see where you are. And that's amazing. So thank you for taking us on the trip with you today. And Jim, for everything and connecting. And Jamie, you're quite a young lady, and I wish you the very best. And you had great answers. So keep having those answers. What? Say that again?
Said thank you so much, Marilyn.
You're welcome. And keep having those answers. You don't have to know it all. Honestly, it's better not to know anything. Sometimes. Remember, shoot from the ass.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you all so much for being here, everyone. And we will see you here next week at 1 o'clock again for another extraordinary show. And we wish you all the best. And Amnon, you got a little closing remark?
I was just going to tell them that if they're bored, in about 3 minutes, they can stay on that page where they are, and they can watch the show.
Okay. Perfect. So you can watch the show and send out the link and use it any way you like. And we'll be in touch. So, yeah, do that. He'll have it uploaded. It'll be ready to go. And everybody out there, have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.